Public President, Denise Ramsey, she's, well, not a member of the public, she's a member of the committee, along with Scott Staples and Philip Partain. Council members Jack Mosley, Butch Higginbotham, John Martin, and Lisa Meyer, with Jordan Reynolds from the city, along with Mayor Chris Treat, Public Works Director Tim Fournier, and Ted Taylor. And at this time, there's a lot that has happened.
And
Rebecca, sorry, she was hiding in the back. And we had a courier with us. A lot's happened since we last met, and thank you for being willing to be postponed for 2 weeks, so that we wouldn't waste your time, because the mayor's been busy. And he's going to fill you in on what's happened since we last met. A lot going on.
You hit the minutes?
I'll make a
Oh, yeah,
I'll
thanks,
second
Mayor.
No, no worries.
You have public comment? No. New business, Mayor.
Okay, all right, since we last met, so we presented to you a, capital improvement plan, master drainage plan. We presented the Will Dam study and a kind of revised version. And we think we're going to need another revised version, okay? And let me count, since we met, there's a few things. First, I think we're getting more clarity on what we are thinking about the expenses for a standalone stormwater department. We think there's 3 items. One is operations and equipment, which is about, I'm just going to say $650,000, because remember, that's what Streets has been providing. The second, and we're going to talk about this a little in more detail later, is we think we'd like to look into outsourcing the maintenance and repair of all the basins in the city. Start there, because right now basins are some private, some public. It's just, we don't have a good system in place to repair and take care of all the basins. So we think if we just did that, that's going to be a huge win for the city. Okay, if our stormwater system is in good shape, I mean, so that's not, we hadn't been really being that focused on that piece. And the third, pick one of the capital improvement projects. So let's just say, as a committee, you say we're going to do Oakland. Okay. Whenever we get this RFP back and we know what the basins are going to cost, and then we know we pick a capital improvement plan. We think once we have that number, a very concrete, this is what it's going to cost, then we can go back to looking at a third revision of the fee structure. And in that fee structure, we think we're going to need to cap it for churches and nonprofits, and then also look at slower progression in fees over time, okay? So basically, if you think about what we're doing, we're really narrowing the scope to make sure we have a plan for standalone stormwater with a very clear cost that gets us phase 2, right? It gets things done, the residents see we're making progress, but doesn't overburden our city with more fees, okay? The other thing, and Tim's going to talk about this to give you more information, is we're about to launch into this major community outreach. It's our comprehensive plan, which we're calling Bryant 2050, Building Today for a Better Tomorrow. This is going to be a massive public outreach. We think it's a great opportunity to, we have some more of this concrete to get feedback on it, citywide feedback. So we think we need to kind of slow down. Let us get these numbers. Let us get some feedback from the residents. Since we're going to be doing this anyway, we might as well get some idea of how the whole community feels about it. And water, wastewater, because of Act 605, sorry, that state law, with our water master plan and our wastewater master plan about to be finished, we're going to have an increase by state law and water and wastewater fees. So we think that needs to be something we talk about at the committee level when we talk about these fees too. Actually, this is actually what we think the fees should be. And then how do we implement those fees with all the other things in mind, okay? And so we're just slowing down. And we can get more detail about the conversations we've had with folks. But I wanted Tim to talk about that wastewater master plan, because of the two plans, that's more expensive and going to be more of the rate increase will be as a result of the wastewater master plan.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, come on, Tim. Does that make sense for everything I just said? I know it was a lot, but this is what we've been working on.
So the wastewater master plan's been probably in place for the last 18 months, and finally we kind of got the final capital improvement program. But within that is, you know, your near term, your midterm, your long term. Act 605 is going to dictate that we have to do a rate study every 5 years. Currently, the ordinance says every 3 years. I'm going to recommend.
That's water though, right? That's water, Act 605, not wastewater, right?
The ordinance. No, it's both.
Did
Yeah,
it change this
because
year?
because we operate as a combined system.
Uh-huh.
So, ordinance dictates we do third party every 3 years. After this rate study's done, I think I'll suggest we go back and we follow the Act 605, because otherwise we're going to start doing 3-2, 3-2, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But that being said, so we whittled down the CIP list to what we think is important over the next 5 years. One of the things we're doing, and I'll throw Ted under the bus.
Good.
We believe that in-house, we have the talent to be able to design the construction package for some of these projects. We will still have to outsource certain portions of that, but we see a pretty significant savings in the engineering portion of it. So we're kind of going down, for lack of a better term, that rabbit hole right now. And early stages, it looks pretty positive.
And for clarification, we're talking about wastewater?
Wastewater.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, water.
Just
I
wastewater.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
The water master plan's already been voted on and accepted. So this is just wastewater at this point in time.
What would have the cost been to outsource the engineering on that?
Well, by project, it's roughly 7%. So if you have a $20 or $30 million project, a couple $1 million. Yeah.
So that's what you can save by keeping it in-house.
We've got existing staff.
Who's doing that?
Who would that be?
Well,
A couple of sharp engineers.
Yeah, we got the public works engineer. We got a guy who used to be an engineer.
And we have some other sources.
And we have some other resources.
So, yeah, I mean, I think some of it sounds daunting, but some of the tasks are pretty easily identifiable. It's just that the way the fee structure works in the consulting world, just like Tim said, it's percentage based. It's not necessarily done at time and materials, which if we've got staff people, we can handle our own time and materials.
So that's where we're at kind of with the CIP right now.
The wastewater plan, has that been approved by council?
It has not. The current intention is to bring it to August Water Sewer Advisory and then August Council. That is current.
So by doing it that way, does that then limit us on, like I know before we talked a little bit about grants and stuff like that, that maybe we can't get as much grant money if we're doing stuff?
You will likely never get a grant for wastewater because of the medium household income in Bryant.
Okay.
Because of what,
The
Tim?
medium household income in Bryant, we've
Okay,
seen that.
make too much money.
Gotcha, yeah.
You make too
That's
much.
not to say, we look at everyone that comes across,
Yeah.
but typically we can't even apply for them.
And this is an affluent area, but you can
I
tell.
understand.
Yeah, but we don't have the tax base that,
No, it's a catch-22.
Most of these grants and principal forgiveness are wrote for really, really decrepit systems. So.
But I hope you kind of see this, you know, the theme here, you know, all of these rates are based on, here's what we're gonna do in the short term. So what we're trying to do is do our due diligence to keep that cost as low as possible for the next 3 to 5, right? Just like we've been talking about here. Then we'll look at it again and see, here's what we've accomplished, and here's what we wanna do next. But I think it's important for this committee to know, okay, we're working on these, there's other rates that are gonna go up. The $15, infrastructure fee is paying for,
It's solely dedicated to water and wastewater debt. It was wrote into ordinance, that's the only thing you can pay for. So nobody likes paying more, but at least you know exactly where it's going.
but that'll cover the,
Well, that current, so in the CIP for, water, you have the water tower and the water line, which that $15 is dedicated to. And then in the CIP for the wastewater, you have lift station 5 and the new force main, that when we proposed that infrastructure fee, that was in there also.
That's in the $15?
Yeah, so. It's monthly.
And it's bonded out to the max, isn't it? I mean, it's already bonded out.
Yeah, when we bonded, we
It's already
bonded.
committed.
Yeah.
But it's not going up. Right. No, it does go up.
No, the infrastructure fee goes up, the bond won't go up. We
Yeah.
did the bond 2 or 3 months ago, oh, no, it was longer than that, 4 or 5 months ago. But, so those bonds have a 3-year spend down. If you remember when we did the bond, because we have to acquire land and some other steps for that tower, we decided that we would do general fund, and then when we touch the bond, reimburse the general fund for it. So we haven't touched the 3-year spend down yet.
so the fee on the rates, not the $15, will mostly go to the water treatment plant upgrades.
There's a
Is that what
treatment
you're
plant,
thinking?
and, yeah, and there's some, collection system stuff. Right now, we're focusing on the treatment.
Capacity, and, you know, the wastewater capacity is the big deal, right? Because if we don't have that capacity, we can't grow anymore.
How much does the infrastructure fee go up every year?
5%.
Did you say the general fund loan money?
Yeah,
For wastewater?
it loaned money to wastewater this year for the purchase of vehicles. When we did the bond for, the water tower and the line, we included a couple $1 million for vehicles and equipment in the same bond. So they loaned that money to wastewater, and then when we touch the bond money, we'll automatically just pay general fund.
So was that a written inter-fund loan agreement?
It was, I don't know if it was in the loan agreement, but it's agreed by council when Joy had presented it. It was so we didn't hit the spend down. If that 3-year spend down, we didn't start it anyway.
Is there a term for the payback? The payback to general fund?
Oh, ideally, Joy would want to do it by the end of the year, but it's over.
We didn't just want to start the clock on that 3-year spend down until we start working out some details on the land swap.
Mhm.
And so we're going to get more details, have more concrete numbers, have a much better, on this 3rd revision of what we think rates are going to look like. We'll have a much better idea to bring to you, and also to start to get feedback from the community when we do our community outreach. Again, that just brings more information to you as you work toward making that beta council.
The community engagement, is that the ward meetings?
There'll be more than that. There'll be town halls, large events. We'll be at every event. Council approved, Craft and Toll to lead this, and we've been talking with them similar to what they did in Searcy. They were really able to generate a lot of community engagement.
So that they're under contract, you had mentioned, to do the comp plan.
We'll have that contract to council end of next month. We're negotiating with them right now.
And then they'll start in September.
Yes, sir.
So, board meetings are scheduled to start toward the middle to end of September. Do they need to push back into October?
Yeah, we're talking with the community engagement committee about that. We want to coordinate that with so Craft and Toll, you know, they're gonna have a schedule of the meetings they're gonna do. We're gonna add to that, under that same umbrella, but not pay Craft and Toll to be there, we'll be there.
But it'd be nice to have this information for that.
That's what we're working on. That's what we want. We want to have this to put out there in front of people when we start this outreach.
But will we have any Craft and Toll people there for question and answers and all that, or we're just gonna be?
Now, they'll be there at their scheduled, which is a lot of meat, but we're gonna do even more, because, you guys know, I mean, this is big, right? Every 10, 15 years, we don't do this very often.
Right.
So we're gonna, our whole team, this is our priority for the next year. But it has slowed down when some of what my expectations of, I thought we'd be further along by this time, but it's okay. I think that we want to get it right. That's the key. Any questions about any of that? So we've had some really good meetings with, some of the business leaders in the community and some of the pastors. And I'll let, Lisa was there, you're welcome to comment. I think one of the things that came away with both meetings is the jump from $6 and $3. That wasn't really what I was thinking about, but when we start talking about a fee structure, that stood out. And they're thinking, like, you're going from $6 to $2.70. That's a huge jump, right? Whereas that was just that second revised. I did also hear that any extra fee towards senior adults is not going to be received well at all. So that needs to be something we consider in our.
Even a slight increase,
Man,
even a partial increase?
Any increase to the seniors.
they had a meltdown over the $15. I mean, you don't,
Yeah, I know.
you just have to go down there and sit down there with them to understand. I mean,
Well, it's legit. It's legit.
yeah,
No, they don't have any money. Well,
they don't.
some don't.
They don't.
The cost of living doesn't go up to,
No,
and by
I
the
mean,
time you add that and water, wastewater fees, you can increase their bill 10%.
I mean, most of them are on a very fixed income, and when it increases, it's not near enough to cover everything else that's increased. They just get farther and farther behind.
Yeah, I hear that.
The business community's concerns are kind of what you would expect. Just that everything's getting more expensive. It's expensive to build in Bryant. We don't want to discourage economic development. We want to be business friendly, but they also understand. I think everybody understands that we got to do something, right? Doing nothing isn't an option.
But I think it was the amount would crush them, because they don't have that money in their back pocket. They don't have that kind of margin to pull it out and hand it to the city. So they're gonna have to raise their rates on their rental or whatever, which is bad for small businesses that are struggling. I mean, not struggling, but,
From your,
tight margins.
from your discussions with the church group, how well represented were the churches in your meetings? I mean, how many church accounts are there?
I think they looked at the spreadsheet, and it's like 21, 22 separate churches. Now, some of those are probably lumped together.
So, Mayor, do you feel like you've got a good representation for those 21?
I think so. I think they're willing to do something, but it's got to be phased. Yeah, it's got to be more, feel like just small percentage increases and not such a large leap.
Yeah, and I will say the biggest churches in town were there.
Yeah.
And the discussion that was had, even with them, and their water bills will be bigger than some of the small churches.
Right.
It was a 45% increase for them, which is significant. And they don't have a way to raise the revenue.
Right.
So that was the discussion.
And how about the businesses? Did you get a good cross-section? Did the chamber organize the meetings, like Shane talked about?
It was just some businesses that reached out.
Okay.
and that had questions and wanted to ask developers, and commercial rental property owners.
I think one of the positive things that came out of that meeting was, and they commented to the mayor, you know, we had that big rain in March, and some of the areas that used to flood, don't flood anymore. I mean, we didn't have the problem, when you have the amount of rain we had in March, you would think some of these areas, but they've been making progress on some of the work that they've been doing the last couple of years. That
Most
made an
definitely,
impact.
most definitely. We've seen improvements with the work that we've done based off of previous projects that we
Mhm.
were able to, like Tim said, we've been able to fumble like $4 million and off of a budget that only generates $300,000 a year. So those projects, it's just that bucket is dry. As far as if we go forward, if we have any larger projects like Oakland, we don't really have a source of funding for those.
And what do you think in terms of, do you think do you agree that it's due in some part because of the work that's been done in the last? So that's why it wasn't as bad spring of '24.
The only thing is, as a previous engineer that's been involved with that, is I've been caught with my pants down thinking that things were fine. It's just rainfall intensities are hard to manage. And yes, we had a significant rainfall event in April. You can turn around and have one that's in November that will find a very susceptible place. So I'm cautious that, yes, we've done improvements, but
Right.
there's always those rainfall events that will find bad problems.
And I believe rain will fall somewhere in the city that has poor drainage.
Right.
Something different.
And it doesn't always fall the same rate throughout the whole city.
But I think that's where the conversation of, man, we've made this progress. What if we really focused on the maintenance of the basins?
Which is one of the toughest problems because, and we've got to figure out how we tackle that because some of these ditches and basins are on private property. And one of the areas that you talk about that had the hardest time in the spring where other areas didn't, they have a big section that is, quote, private property and hasn't been touched in years, is probably a great source of their problem. If we could, that area is gonna be a big ticket item, but I think there's little things that we could do to help that area if we get over the private property issue.
Do we
Find a
know,
solution.
is there a list or a database or something that says these are the 12 subdivisions or the 12 neighborhoods or whatever in Bryant where we've got a public-private conflict or public-private uncertainty?
Yeah,
You know,
that's part of the RFQ and RFP that Tim and his team have worked on, we wanted to
okay.
dig into, so.
So we know where these conflicts
Yes,
are.
sir.
Nobody knows who's in charge.
Yeah.
Good.
So, the request for proposals we put together, my intention was to bring two, one for basins and one for drainage. But what I learned in some of our, discovery of the drainage pathways is maybe we do have easements where we have told we don't, because there's old records. So before I propose any of that, I have my stormwater team going back and basically going down every drainage pathway and going, is there an easement or isn't there an easement? Because we want to make sure. And the ones that are on private property, I'm almost, especially the pathways, not so much the basins, I would be willing to bet if we approached somebody and said, we really need a permanent easement to get in here and clean it up.
That'd probably be helpful, yeah.
The problem is, I don't have that magnitude of cost right now, I don't have the staff to do it, so we would have to contract it out. But before we do that, we need to know where we can actually get in and where we can't, and then where we can't, we need to talk to those folks. So what we did do is we just did the basin. And Butch had a good point today, and I can almost assure you that any improvement district or any field that has a basin doesn't want it. They don't want it. The problem is the improvement districts do have select money to take care of some of these basins. So this RFP is really just a magnitude of if the city was to own all the basins, with the exception of 3, because they're in private subdivisions, so we don't do the roads, stormwater, lights, or anything in that. What would it cost to get those basins up to the standard that they were approved to at the time. But if we were to bring them up to today's standards, it would be just an astronomical cost. Cleaned, maintained, mowed, what would that look like if we had one or two or three companies doing that? Just maybe divide four companies, 4 wards, right? I do have staff that can manage contracts and do inspections. I don't have staff. So this is just another direction we'd like to explore. And if it works out well, we could probably implement it faster than some of that stuff on that CIP. So, and Lisa's right, some of the areas, you know, it's tilted this high.
If we manage that one particular area, it would be a game changer for those people.
Yeah, and that's very particular, I'm looking at very hard right now.
Yeah, to fix that. It'd be nice to,
It's one of the ones that's on the top of the list of the song. So, like I said, this is a little broad, so I'd like you to read it. If you have any specifics or edits or comments, please send them to us, or send them to Lisa, and I'm sure Lisa, and I'll look and include them if they need to be. But overall, it's just to get, what is the magnitude of the cost if the city was on the basins and manage contracts to have them made. There are some basins that we would have to acquire easements to get to. There are some basins that I'm not really sure how we'd get to yet. But like we said in the very first meeting, kind of sick of telling people no. I'm sure there's a solution somewhere. And I'm sure somebody knows it, or somebody could look at it and come up with a different idea. So that's where we're at.
So in this fee structure that you're talking about, these are households and businesses that are gonna pay. But what about the improvement district?
Well,
They don't pay.
So that's something we would need to figure out. We need to talk to probably Alan King and a few other people about the improvement district that have been putting money towards the improvement district for that specific basin. Haven't crossed that bridge yet, but it is definitely a conversation.
But they need to,
Yes.
So you would move it out from underneath the improvement district to the city owning it? Okay. What would it, do we know what impact that would have to, because all that's collected at the county level for tax purposes, like would that money then just come straight to the city, or would it go away? Like, it
Well,
wouldn't make it go
I can't shake
away,
my
would
head,
it?
yes, but no,
That's probably a lawyer question.
Yeah.
That's where,
Yeah.
when I started looking at this, that was where my
That
first
would
thought
be-
was.
it'd probably be a legal question.
Okay.
I shouldn't be shaking my head.
Well, we
would
hope
have to
so.
collect revenue, yeah.
We'd be able to still get that revenue from the homeowners and funnel it into the
And that
maintenance
needs
of
to
their.
offset, we need that piece of the pie to be able to figure out what the fees
That's
would
right,
be
yeah,
to
that was,
offset.
okay.
Like I said, my,
But that's down the road stuff.
yeah,
Like, that's
like
what we gotta
my
figure out
general
still.
consensus is, out with the stormwater guys, nobody wants these basins. Who wants down here, if it's an improvement district, private owned, or, I mean, honestly, I don't really want them either, but
We have
I
to have
think
them.
we owe some responsibility to take care of them.
And it will improve our
It will.
overall
It will.
ability to do accomplish what you're wanting to accomplish. And
So, I believe so.
Some of those are gonna be impossible to maintain, I'm sure.
Nothing's impossible.
Nothing. I think it'll improve the quality of life of some residents, because some of them are so overgrown and they have
How many,
livestock living in there,
trees in them and everything else.
rodents and snakes.
Over 200.
how many are there?
There's 54 residential basins, and there's 80 commercial basins.
And how many of those 64 are in homeowners associations or?
I don't have that number on me, but there's quite a few that are improvement districts. The ones in POAs, you might as well just not. Because they can't.
Mhm.
Can't force anybody to pay. Problem, they don't collect so much money.
I remember,
yeah.
I remember that in many cases in communities, I would say more than the majority of people that are in POA don't even know. They pay this fee every year.
2020,
and-
2019, we started forcing the improvement district.
It's about 20, I think. We
And
wouldn't
when they close on a house, they don't,
Yeah.
they're not focused on, okay, I'm in a POA.
Yeah.
They don't know what that means or.
Yeah, most of them assume it's just that they're planting flowers next to the line outside.
They do a great job.
A little something different with this RFP is normally, we advertise for 2 weeks and then we ask for a response back within another 2 2 weeks or maybe 4 weeks. This is probably gonna take taking some companies on field trips so they can see what they're
Yeah,
actually in
yeah.
for. So
Mhm.
we'll probably, similar to what Parks does with their mowing contract, they get a few companies that are interested and then they take them to where they're gonna mow. We will probably have to do something like this, so this will be a longer process.
That's what I was gonna ask, is there a map or something that we'd be able to provide them that
There
has
is,
all
and
the different?
I would probably send it with one of our.
And we gotta research the legality of improvement districts paying
Right.
the city.
Mhm.
I think all of them would say, yes, we would love that, we just gotta make sure we can do that.
We would love that.
I think it would. I mean, I know of a neighborhood that's maxed out on their improvement money is bonded to 2035.
Yeah.
Well, on infrastructure or recreational, because most of these basins are in a recreational.
Well,
So they're not paying a bond back.
their developer walked out and didn't top out the street. So they worked the deal with my predecessor and submitted, which is a good thing, I suppose. They used that improvement district money to overlay their streets. So now that money's bonded to 2035.
Yeah, most of the, I shouldn't say most of, some.
And they have a ditch that needs help.
Some of the basins are in recreational improvement districts that just go to fund maintenance, they don't go to fund a bond.
What's a recreational district?
It's a recreational, that's what it is, it goes to fund maintenance for that area rather than pay a bond back.
Hmm.
So that's where we are. We got a lot of work to do we've got a better understanding, I think, of the scope of what we're gonna go after. But we, like I said, what defines phase 2 for stormwater, standalone stormwater phase 2 for us. It'll be, operations, maintenance of basins, and a project if we pick that, right? But I think at the very least, it's operations and the maintenance of basins. That's one of the things we keep, that came up with the builders, we've talked about in-house, is what does it look like if our system's in great shape? Progress we've made, what does it look like if our system's in great shape? And what does that mean for the capital improvement plan? How aggressive do we need to be with that? I think we'll have a better answer. And we'll have a lot more data from the public on where they're prioritizing the stormwater. It has been a high priority, right? But if things are better, maybe it's not as high a priority, and with the water, wastewater fees going up, maybe we talk about maybe not starting these fees until 2027. Anything, we can strategically make sure we do this the right way when we get these numbers.
So do you strategically, I guess politically too, do you see, based on where we are now, and all of this makes sense to me, do you see that the water rate increase and the wastewater increase and stormwater would all be brought to the council at the same time, or do you see this differently?
I think we need to know the wastewater increase first, water, wastewater. We were close to that. I think when we know what that number is going to be and what people are looking at, again, by state law, the hit they're going to take in 26, we can, and the feedback we get,
Right.
hey, this is a high priority, and we're willing to pay it, right? I mean, if we're getting feedback that, yes, do something with stormwater, we're in,
So you see water, wastewater going first?
Yes, sir.
And when do you think the city will be in a position to say, after all of this due diligence is done, this is our recommendation for water and this is wastewater?
Recommendation for water, wastewater before the end of this year.
End of the year.
So,
So the effective date would be,
well, the effective date would be up to a council.
Right.
But there is the July 1st of 2026 by state law, it has to.
So let me ask you a question, Tim. CAW raising our rates in January?
Oh, are they? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got their 10-year plan last year or 2 years ago.
And so we have to pass that before it goes into effect. Because we didn't do that a couple of years ago. And 3 months of a rate increase was not passed on. I mean, the city's paying for the water, but when you
Right.
pass it on to the public, it costs us almost $1 million.
And it's actually, pass it, we bill 30 days behind it, it's actually like 60.
So
by the time we
on
bill
water, wastewater, the drop dead is July 1st.
for 2026.
I've asked Tim to do, and his team, to try to get us there so we can start in January. I'd like to be able to start communicating with the public.
Right.
The water rates are going up, wastewater rates are going up,
Right.
because we're doing this, and because of state law, and then, so that they're ready. It may, again, it may not be January, but before July, I'd like to not wait till the very end,
Right.
and have a lot of time to let them know what's happening and why it's happening.
How are you gonna gauge support for the community?
When we start this community outreach in
Are you gonna do
September,
a survey?
there's gonna surveys, online surveys, a lot of in-public meetings.
So stormwater, then, we're talking 27, January
I
27?
think it's gonna take us a long time
Okay,
to get there, because there's a ton of research.
all right, okay.
Just this avenue alone is probably 6 month avenue trying to figure it out. So, but, when you see the CIPs and the rates, because we're talking about them, remember the infrastructure fee, you're going to see the water tower, you're going to see the water line, you're going to see lift station 5, you're going to see the force main. But those projects are already funded from the infrastructure. They're not really tied to any rate increase, but they are in the CIP. They have to be.
Yeah.
I think this is a strategically smart approach. To add some humor to this, I remember thinking back in May when we looked at the schedule for the committee, I said, well, if we deal with the utilities and then we deal with the village and then we deal with the street funding, I said to myself, you need to plan to move out of town by January 1st, at the latest, of
Yeah.
27, before anybody finds out.
Oh,
who's
come on, Scott.
No. I'm thinking, well, we both be looking for another place to go, because that was that's a,
And that's what we can't do. We can't kill our growth.
Right.
What growth
No.
we have.
Yeah.
We
before
don't
I
want these
forget,
young
when
families to be.
you were talking about it's expensive to develop in Bryant, is that factually true? Like, or is that just I know from experience that sometimes that's just a perception or something that somebody says because it feels good to say it.
No, cost of
When
construction,
you look
like across the entire state, you can kind of throw a rock at
Right.
the places that are growing fastest.
okay,
The faster they're growing, the higher the cost.
okay,
Right now, Northwest Arkansas obviously is its own
Right.
animal, but investors in the Northwest Arkansas today are investing in projects that they're not gonna get a return on for no less than 10 years.
in Northwest. But how would you analyze Saline County?
Saline County would probably be one step below that, given the growth in our values and the cost, mind you, they're buying the same materials across the state of Arkansas.
So the growth isn't necessarily driven by anything structurally that the city of Bryant controls.
No, I mean, the growth is coming from the schools, the growth is coming from people trying to get out of Little Rock, going into
Right.
our area. And, not having labor availability is driving that cost up. Cost of materials continues to go up,
Right.
so.
I will say that, they did give Ted and his team kudos, that some of the developers that are working in other parts of the state are like, well, this is really good and bright. It's really good that you can call the planning director, you can get the mayor on the phone, these other cities.
Yeah.
Seems a little,
Yeah,
several layers.
you do hear a lot of stories about Northwest Arkansas, Fayetteville in particular, how the developers struggle with just navigating their code in this particular instance.
I had a developer tell me last week that Northwest Arkansas has got too big. That was his quote, and what he meant by that. obviously, is-
And they're dealing with some serious water issues themselves.
Yeah. They're so successful that now they're dealing with.
Infrastructure issues.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
sewer.
That's correct.
Sewer capacity.
So, next meeting,
Do we need to meet again?
We are moving on to police and fire pension. We've been working, for a while now, on a presentation to you guys on kind of what, again, same format. We were gonna present our plans, and then we we fine tune those plans, get all the questions. You guys know how it is. We've been looking at it in-house, and you look at something long enough, you just need other people to say, hey, have you thought about this, or here's some things to think about, just to make it better. So, when is our next?
The 7th.
Oh,
2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from today.
We can be ready, but if you guys, it's up to you.
I'd like to get back to our original
Our
schedule,
schedule.
the first Thursday of each month, because we haven't, for good reasons.
Yeah, well,
We haven't,
yeah,
but
we're
it'd
only
be nice,
chartered for a year, so we gotta
if-
get cracking.
if they're ready,
Yeah,
I'd like to see us,
get back on schedule.
you
The
know,
7th,
Fine by me.
What's the date for it?
August 7th.
7th, all right, thank you.
I may not be available that day.
Uh-oh.
Tim can fill in for you.
I'll be
Sweet.
in, I will be in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Oh, we don't need you.
Ted, I got you.
Well, are we ready to entertain a motion to adjourn?
If we got the 7th on the book? Okay, yep.
Motion? Second? There you go, Jordan.
Y'all are the only ones that did it this time.
Thank you, everybody.
Roll.
Really appreciate it.
Here's some coffee. Had exactly one butterscotch all day. So
Oh
we're
my
rolling.
gosh.
good.
I mean, that's,
Physical therapy and.
no, I'm good. Yeah. That one for me and slide it.
They are still not
That's
operational.
the key.